Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's been a while, but today I'm going to talk about how I failed the driving test 3 times. So I've taken the driving test 4 times. Obviously I did end up passing, yay, but it was not without difficulty, I can say that much. Okay, so before I start this video, in the description down below is the link for the app that I recommend if you're taking your learner's test. It's almost exactly the same questions as I actually ask you in the real learner's test, so I highly recommend this app. And also in the description down below is a free K53 manual. There we go. So let's talk about the driving test. Why did I fail so many times? What was the big deal? Because it shouldn't be a big deal, right? So for me, the driving test was very stressful because I felt very pressured by my family to get my license. So the year that I turned 18 was the year of COVID. So when I turned 18, lockdown just started and we were in the house for months. So I couldn't get my learners until the end of the year. Around October, November side. And then so basically the next year, which was 2021, that's when I officially started driving lessons. I went through a driving school, booked the 10 lessons for 2K, good. But I ended up not going to pass out with this particular driving instructor because he didn't teach me everything that I needed to know. He didn't teach me how to parallel park from both sides. Like, you should be able to do all the parkings from the left hand side and the right hand side, but he didn't teach me that. He also never took me to make a right turn. So we drive on the left hand side of the road, and making a right turn is like the big turn, you know. You have to stand in the middle of the road, you have to wait till the traffic is cleared, all that jazz. We never did that. But I don't think that this instructor taught me right. I personally don't think so, because I didn't feel ready to take the driving test. And after 10 lessons, you're kind of supposed to, I think. I don't really know, but I didn't feel ready at all. I don't think he taught me well at all, and that made me very stressed. It made me feel like it was my fault, like I was a bad driver. Gave me lots of anxiety when driving. Like, whenever I had a driving lesson, I wasn't looking forward to it. It was like the worst part of my day, and it was like, it was not a vibe. It just wasn't. Getting my license was just very difficult at that stage in time. And like, with my family around, it didn't make it any easier, because it was like, oh, you have to get your license, how's this going, how's the driving license going? And I felt very pressured and very stressed because they really wanted me to get my license, and I know they meant well, but it just stressed me out even more, and it made the entire situation so much worse. And that was like the start of my downward spiral, let me tell you. And the cherry on top was because I finished school so young, a lot of my friends are all a year or 2 years older than me. So most of them like went through the same experiences as me. Obviously they also wanted to get their license, and they got their license before me, obviously because they were older, but they got it so easily. Okay, I can't really say that because I don't know what their experience was or how it felt for them, but it was really difficult because they passed out on the first time, on the second time, and here I am like it ain't easy, you know. And then after a while you start doubting yourself, you start feeling incompetent. Like, what if I can't drive? Like, what if I'm one of those people that is just never gonna drive for the rest of their life? I'm uber dramatic. I think up stuff like that. So that was really a thought in my head for like a long time. Like, what if I'm never gonna be able to drive? What if I have to Uber everywhere I want to go? What if I have to take public transport every single day? And the other thing that was like also really irritating was I felt so pressured by my family, but it also felt like nobody was helping me. Nobody took me for lessons, to go practice, to drive around the block, really, until the end, you know, like until I failed like a couple of times. But then it was just kind of like pity lessons, you know, like you need it because clearly you're not doing well, you know what I mean? So it wasn't a great start, and it was very difficult because your mind tells you stuff, you know, and you shouldn't always listen to it. But when you do listen to what your mind says about you, you do feel really bad. So it's very traumatizing when you fail so many times. especially like when you feel so pressured. In my opinion, I can't speak for the other traffic places, like the other traffic departments in other countries and other places. I have no idea. But in this country, I feel like the system is corrupt because driving lessons cost a lot. Nowadays, driving lessons cost about like 200 Rand an hour for a lesson. So you spend an hour driving around, practicing parking, and then you have to pay this guy like 200 Rand. That's a lot of money. Especially like when you're a young person who's like broke. You know, you spend a lot of money just trying to learn how to drive a car. And also, the more you fail, the more money everybody else makes. If you fail the driving test, your driving instructor makes more money because you need more lessons. He makes more money because you need to pay to use his car for that time that you are taking the test. The traffic department gets paid again because you want to go pass out. And so the system goes on and on and on. It's just like this endless money-making sham, you know? And something else that doesn't get spoken about enough, in my opinion, it's just like the poor conditions of taking a driving test here. Okay, so I'm having a location change because the lighting in the car was just like really bad and my battery died, so now I'm here. So as I was saying, like there's all these things like poor roads, traffic, so much congestion on the roads, and then there's also load shedding. The robots are off. Oh, is it my turn to go across the road? Who knows? Something happens, it's your fault. It's always your fault. That's another thing when you're the learner, because you don't know anything and you're always in the wrong. And all of these things combined just make the driving test like so much harder and even more stressful, because these things are running through your mind, like what if there's traffic, what if this happens, what if that happens, and all of these things are out of your control and you just have to accept it. That doesn't make it any easier or any less stressful. Speaking of that, your tester person, the person who like sits in the passenger seats and judges you for that hour, could be a complete monster for all that you know. I mean, I've had my fair share of tester people that were monsters, let me tell you. So one of the rules when you're driving, or especially when you're parking, is that the wheel, you can't touch a solid line. I did all the parkings perfectly. I was literally just on my way to exit the parking, and on the exit, the wheel, one of the back wheels, touched a line, and the tester person failed me right there, because that line could have been a car for all she was concerned, and that's an obstruction to traffic, and the list just goes on and on. They could be a monster. It's always your fault. Just humble yourself right now. That's another point that I want to make. Make sure you go to a traffic department where you start out in the little block for parking, because some traffic departments put you in a parking spot and then they make you drive there. So if you have to drive there, you could literally fail on the way and you wouldn't even have done the test yet. That also happened to me once. So I'm in this parking block, ready to drive to the little block for parking with a test route on the parking, and I'm pulling away, put the car in first gear, pulling away, and suddenly the car is just not moving. So then I look at the gears and the car is in neutral. So I didn't put the car in first gear right, and then it popped back out and I just started rolling back. And that disappointment, I'm still traumatized about that till this day. Whenever I'm driving now and the car struggles to move forward, I always just like put my hand there, like, oh, you in first gear right, because I don't know, that was traumatizing, super traumatizing. The third time that I passed out, I decided, no, I'm done with this traffic department. I'm gonna go try a different traffic department, because I just seem to be having bad luck at this one, you know, like I failed there twice. I need to go try something else. So I go to this other traffic department and I passed the parking there, which is like the furthest I've ever came, and I made it on the road. And it just seems that like some people do not know how the rules of a circle work. Before you enter a circle, you cannot just like speed through it, drive through it. You have to yield, you have to slow down and look. So I'm about to enter the circle, I look left and right, see it's all clear, and then I go. Then this other car comes at a monstrous speed, enters the circle, and then like hoots at me because I'm already there. And that was like an immediate fail, because I was an obstruction on the road or something like that. And I told my driving instructor this. I told him like this, that was completely unfair. because I was already in the circle. It's not my fault that this guy didn't stop. You know, like what was I supposed to do? Then he was like, you know, it's one of those things. And that's the thing that sucks about the driving test. The person that is sitting next to you, that person decides your fate. You know, they decide your fate. Whether you disagree, whether you like it, that's just the way it is. The fourth time, obviously that was the time I passed. Everything went well. I did the parking well, the road went well. Obviously there were hiccups, but this person didn't blame me for any of like the roadblocks or the road things that were happening, which was nice. And I got my license, and it was finally, and I was so excited, I was so happy. That was probably easily one of the top 10 best days of my life. So on the lines, we just went through the fact that I took this test like 4 times. So let's talk about how much this cost. With my first driving instructor, I took a package with that little company, and they charged me 2,000 Rand for 10 lessons. Obviously the 10 lessons didn't go well because he didn't teach me everything that I needed to know. But I could still drive, I could still make the car move. I never crashed into anybody, I never had any incidents. That was my current predicament, because I don't need lessons because I can drive. But the issue is I just can't pass the test. Okay, so as I said at the start, about 2 years ago now, I think, I spent about 2,000 Rand on a package that provided me with 10 lessons, but it wasn't very helpful. Then I spent about 240 Rand on each of my subsequent lessons that I had extra, but this was through a different driving school. I had approximately 5 lessons before each test that I took. And as I mentioned, I ended up taking the test 4 times. If I had 5 lessons before each test, well, approximately 5, and I took the test 4 times, that means that I ended up taking 20 lessons. And for each of those 20 lessons, I paid 240 Rand. So that meant that I paid 4,800 Rand on driving lessons. So that's 6,800 Rand total so far. On the day of the test that you pass out, if you use your driving instructor's car, you pay 400 Rand for the hour that you were using the car. So it's basically 400 Rand for the day. I took the test 4 times, each time using his car. Therefore, I ended up paying 1,600 Rand for that. When you go to the traffic department and you book your test, you have to pay 130 Rand for them to make the booking. And I had to pay 130 Rand each time. So that means I ended up paying 520 Rand for the total amount of times that I went to go book my test. In total, that means that I paid, just trying to learn how to drive and get my license, I paid 8,920 Rand. I say approximately because I can't remember how much driving lessons cost exactly. And they also charge you to get your license card, and I can't remember how much I paid for that. So I spent about north of 8 to 9k on trying to get my license. It was very stressful, and it was a lot of money. But I mean, now I don't think about the money. Now I don't think about how stressed I was. I'm just glad that I finally have my license, obviously. So let's talk about motivation. What did I do to motivate myself to keep trying and trying, even though I kept failing and everybody else was passing? Well, I had a Google search, and I found out that there was a guy who took the driving test 168 times, 157 times, I don't know, something around there. I'll put it up here so you can see. And if he could take the driving test over 150 times, surely I could take it one more time and keep trying, you know? I watched lots of videos like this of people who did fail the test and then they finally passed after the 8th time, the 7th time, the 5th time. You know, they kept trying and they finally got it. And also, if you do it, you never have to do it again. You know, if you get it right now, you're never gonna have to do this again in your life, unless you want to move to a different country. But it won't be as stressful, because at least if you get it done, you know for a fact that this is something that I can do and I can do it again, you know. And like, you also have to realize that this test actually doesn't matter. It's actually not that big of a deal. If you fail, you can go do it again. Yes, it costs money. Yes, it's not sustainable, but you know that you can drive. But now you just have to show that to somebody else. And if it takes you the first time, the second time, the third time, or like the 9th time, it's gonna happen. You're gonna do it. You just have to believe that you can do it. So even though it's super stressful and tiring, it's a lot of money, you'll get there. If I could do it, you could do it. So I think it's only fitting that I made this video at the anniversary that I've had my license for about a year now, and I've been driving around with like my car, other people's cars, and very confident driver, very happy to drive. Never got a speeding ticket, never got a fine, never got like an illegal parking fine, none of that. Very responsible driver, let me say that. So if I can do it, know that you can do it too. Yeah, leave a comment down below, tell me your story, tell me if you're struggling. I'd love to hear what other people have to say. And thanks for watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next. Bye.